Hey everybody, how are we? Um, we are in the parsha of the last two parshas of the book of Leviticus, Vayikra, Bahar Bechukotai. And in Bahar, we have the mitzvah of Shemitah. The mitzvah of Shemitah is the sabbatical year, which means that we work the land for 6 years, and in the seventh year we let the land lay fallow, and we don't work the land. And similarly to Shabbat, where we kind of like pull back and we just say, you know what, we know that Hashem is the creator and we can work for 6 days and we put in our creative energies and we kind of like contribute to the creation. And then on the seventh day, we realize that Hashem created the world and Hashem's taking over and Hashem owns the creation. And if we pull back and we don't do anything, we are basically showing our emunah that Hashem created the world and He decides when we rest, and He's keeping the world going. And even if we don't do anything, it's going to continue to exist. So too, in the land of Israel, in the seventh year, we don't provide our own livelihood. Like, we sit back and we don't work the land, and we don't plant trees and fruit and wheat, and we don't gather our produce, and we just kind of like hope that Hashem will give us the livelihood that we need to survive. So it's interesting. The pasuk says when we go into the land of Israel, it says, Hashem says to Moshe, speak to the Jewish people, Daber el bnei Israel, ve'amarta alehem, ki tavo el haaretz asher ani noten lachem. When I give you the land that when you come into the land that I give you, v'shavta haaretz Shabbat laHashem, the land will lay fallow, it will have a sabbatical. Sheish shanim tizra satcha, you should plant your seeds, you should plant your fields for 6 years. V'sheish shanim tizmor karmecha, for 6 years you should prune your vineyards. Ve'asafta etvota, and collect your produce. Ubashana hashvi'it Shabbat Shabbaton yihiyeh la'aretz Shabbat laHashem. In the seventh year you shall have a sabbatical year for Hashem. And then you don't plant in that year, and you don't prune your vineyards, and you do not collect your produce in that year, and so on and so forth. So ask Netivot Shalom. It seems like when you walk into the land of Israel, as soon as you come in, the land will have a Shabbat. It almost seems like as soon as you come into the land of Israel, you're going to have a sabbatical year, which is not the case, because you're supposed to work the land for 6 years. And only in the seventh year, you have a Shabbat, you have a sabbatical year. So why does the Torah say, when you come into the land of Israel, the land will have a Shabbat? And then it goes back to say, and you will work your land for 6 years, and in the seventh year, you're going to have a Shabbat. So like with Shabbat, it says, with the actual Sabbath in the week, it says you will work for 6 days, shesh shanim ta'avod ve'asita kol melachtecha, and you do all your work, and in the seventh day you will rest. You sit back and don't do any work. So why doesn't it say the same thing with regard to the land, the Shemitah year in the sabbatical? So it says Netivot Shalom, there's basically two levels of holiness and closeness to Hashem, or almost two intermediaries in this world, two souls, or in two dimensions there is this level of soul, which means that it's a level of holiness and accessibility and closeness to Hashem in two dimensions, which is one is time and one is space. In time, it is Shabbat. Shabbat is, well, actually, it's also the different holidays. But on Shabbat and on the holidays, there's this closeness to Hashem. There's this more accessibility, more energy, more spirituality that is accessible to us on a human level. And so too, in the land of Israel, in the dimension of space, it's the land of Israel. What does that mean? That in Israel, you have this life force, you have this energy, you have this closer accessibility to Hashem. Spiritual presence of Hashem is more accessible to human beings, and you feel it more in Israel. Meaning, this is Hashem's country, okay? And it's in the dimension of space. And so no matter what, there's an extra level of holiness to the land, so that if you were to come to the land of Israel, and you do come to the land of Israel, you already feel that 1 part out of 7 of this land is not human. It's Hashem's country. Okay? Do you know what I mean? By 1 part out of 7, meaning as soon as you come into the land, it's really, there's a shemitah to the land. There's a sabbatical on the space of the country of Israel. So that even though you're not keeping shemitah this year, you come into the land and you already feel that 1 out of 7 years that belongs to Hashem. This is Hashem's home. This is a home where we're going to have a shemitah. We're going to have a sabbatical. Yes, it's going to come in 7 years. Like, we're first going to work the land for 6 years, and then you will actually express it in action that you trust that this is Hashem's world and Hashem's land, and then you'll pull back and you won't work the land. But already, as soon as you come in, that holiness exists in the land, and it has nothing to do with human beings and whether we're keeping that or not. Do you get it? So the land of Israel is a place where Hashem is felt. Hashem's presence is felt, and it says in the Torah, Einei Hashem Elokecha ba mireshit hashana ve'ad acharit hashana. That Hashem's eyes are on this country from the beginning of the year until the end of the year. It is like a closer divine intervention, a closer divine supervision. Things happen here that would just not happen in any other country. And you feel Hashem's presence. You feel Hashem's direct interaction with us. And that exists as soon as you come into the land. Okay? So, it kind of connects a little bit, and it's really what Netivot Shalom is saying, is that is why we need to have 1 out of 7 years, every 7th year, we need to really pull back and express that we have bitachon, we have trust in Hashem, that He will provide us with our livelihood, and that it's not dependent on us. And if you don't have trust in the land of Israel, boy, you really cannot survive in this country. You just can't survive. Everything in Israel, he says here, it's amazing. Al pitvarim inyan. Okay, inyan ze shayach b'miuchad le'eretz Yisrael. This is specifically connected to the land of Israel. Shekol kocha shel yeshivata hu rak b'koach habitachon. The strength to survive in Israel is only with trust in Hashem. I mean, we see what's going on today. I mean, I was just learning with my friends today, and one of the women were saying, this is such a bad day. I mean, it was terrible. We heard the news of the couple, the young, beautiful Jewish couple in Washington with the terror attack. And it's such a terrible day. And there's so much uncertainty in the land of Israel. It's just never ending. Every day seems to be bringing us further and further away from our destination, from our goals. Like, what the heck? How long can this war go on? How long can these hostages stay in captivity? Like, it just doesn't seem like it's making any sense. Why are things not working out? And there's so much dissension between the left and the right, and the religious and the non-religious, and the Haredi and the national religious. So many conflicts and disagreements, and we just have to understand that, yes, we have to put in our effort, but in the end of the day, we have to keep going, and we have to keep doing good things to bring Mashiach. But in the end of the day, this is Hashem's country, and it's up to Him. And He is going to work things out, and things can turn around in the blink of an eye. And He continues to say, we see in our senses the whole reality in Israel. There's always uncertainty. We never know what's going to be the next day. It's almost like we're always like, what the heck is going on here? Please help us out. We don't understand. And that's the way it has to be. And how things will continue. Like, how is this bringing us to Geula was my friend's question. You know, like, what is going on here? Like, how is this leading us in the right direction? And the answer is, we're not in control. We are not in control. We have to do mitzvot, and we have to try and create unity among the Jewish people and do as much as we can to make sure that happens, and contribute as much as possible to the light and to the closeness among the Jewish people, because that's the only thing we can do, and we have to pray. But in the end of the day, this is up to Hashem, and Hashem is just showing us that we have to trust Him. Ve'ein derech ki'im al yedei midat habitachon. Only through trust will anything happen in Israel. V'zeu be'emet ha'ta'am madua ein be'eretz Yisrael yitzivut Gashmit. In Israel, it's very hard to have materialistic stability. Like, you know that joke, like how do you make a big fortune in Israel? How do you make sorry, wrong. I'm very bad at this. How do you make a small fortune in Israel? Good question. Come with a big one, right? Because there's no way to make a small fortune in Israel, okay? Except if you start out with a big one, because it's just, there's very little stability materialistically, okay? And because Hashem is always showing you, you depend on me. You depend on me. No matter what happens, you come to Israel, you just like give up. You need to give up your control. And kol hanhagata al tiv'it, and there's miracles every day. The entire nature of Israel is completely above nature. And we have to have trust every single day. Now, why am I saying all of this? How is this connecting to anything? Okay, so it's connecting to Shemitah. Because as soon as you come into the land of Israel, you have to realize that this is not our country. This is not kochi ve'otzem yadi, my own strength and might of my hand. No, that's not what's going to happen. That's not what's going to work. That's not what's going to allow us to thrive and survive. And also, this is also bringing me to what we were learning with regard to tefillah. It was saying the gates of prayer, sha'arim b'tefillah, was we were talking about the idea that normally you think you need to put in some effort, like no matter what happens, like if you there's always this like balance between bitachon, having trust in Hashem, and putting in the effort. Like let's say if you're sick, you want to go to the doctor because that's your effort, but at the same time you need to know it's not up to the doctor, it's up to Hashem whether I am healed, whether I am cured, and so on and so forth. So in the gates of prayer, Rav Shimshon Pingo says that part of your putting in effort, we tend to think that the effort has to be physical, has to be materialistic. But he says that also prayer is part of your effort, because Hashem is also a doctor. Hashem is also the richest person in the world. So if you're having a financial problem, not only should you be speaking to a rich person who might be able to give you a loan or try and go to the bank and get mortgage your house or whatever. Part of your physical effort is praying to Hashem, because Hashem is the infinite being that we have access to. And I would emphasize that in Israel, you have more emphasis to that rofei, to that doctor, to that all able, omnipotent, omniscient Father in heaven that we have. And that closeness that we have in Israel allows us to always reach out to him. And also there was one beautiful thing that he said, like normally when you go to a specialist, like let's say you have a specific problem, like a neurological problem, you don't just go to your social medicine doctor. Like you don't just go to the guy that like doesn't get paid at all for seeing you. You want to go to a specialist, and that person usually takes a lot of money, and then that person will invest in your care and be specifically oriented towards healing you and curing your specific problem. So he says that Hashem, it says we reach out to Hashem when we talk about curing it says specifically, Rofei Cholei Amo Yisrael. Hashem has almost a special relationship with the Jewish people. And I would even venture to say with the Jewish people in Eretz Yisrael, even more so. Hashem is like our specialist. And it's interesting because it also says Rofei Chol Basar Umafli La'asot. Hashem, it cures all creatures. Hashem is the doctor for everybody. But Hashem also is a specialist for the Jewish people. He has a special connection to the Jewish people. So he is investing in our health and in our ability to be cured from whatever problem it is. So if you reach out to Hashem and say, Hashem, you are Rofei Cholei Amo Yisrael. You are the specialist for the Jewish people. You care about the Jewish maladies, the Jewish illnesses, So that in that way, when we call out to Hashem with that name, we are asking Hashem, be our specialist. You are our specialist. You're our Father, and you care about my specific illness, and you will direct it and invest in our cure, in our healing. And I think all of that, along with our bitachon, in our trusting in Hashem, together with calling out to him and realizing that that is, especially in Israel, that is natural effort. That's what it means to put in effort. It's to pray for Hashem, to specifically ask for the Geula, for the ability to have love among the Jewish people, and to cure all the rifts and all the conflicts among us, and to bring the hostages back and end this war and make sure to protect our soldiers, and all the things we have to keep asking Hashem, and specifically asking him in the fact that we are in Eretz Yisrael and we trust him and we are his children, and we are asking him to be our special doctor, our specialist, who is there uniquely specified to our problems and here to solve them. Have a good Shabbos.